This research is about the impact of aggregate conditions at the time of birth for the performance of firms over their entire life cycle. So the idea is to investigate whether the cyclical conditions faced by firms at the time of their birth have long-lasting consequences on their performance over their entire life cycle. The research belongs to a long tradition of studies seeking to understand the drivers of growth, the drivers of firm growth. And we do so by, from a peculiar perspective, from the point of view of the aggregate conditions at the time of birth. And obviously, knowing understanding the drivers of growth, of firms' growth, is important for understanding the drivers of growth in the whole economy. We do so exploiting variation of employment and other indicators of performance at the firm level over 42 years of activity. Essentially, we track the performance of firms since their birth and over their entire life cycle. And we do so using the administrative data from the archives of IMSS. This is an incredible database covering the universe of Italian employers and the universe of Italian employees for such a long span of time. And these data are accessible through the Visit IMSS Scholar program. Essentially, what we do is to isolate the effect of belonging to a cohort, so the effect for the firms of being born in a certain year, from the distinct influence of age, capturing the idea that firms may become more resilient when they grow older, and the distinct impact of period effects, so conditions that affect all the firms at a given date. The main result of this analysis is that we show that firms born in recessions are larger and more productive than firms born in expansions. The effect is economically relevant. Just to give you a sense of the dimension, a 1% decline of output below the trend in the year of birth implies a 1.6% increase in the level of employment at firm level for the firms born in that year. So the effect is quite large. More importantly, the effect is persistent. So instead of observing that the effect subsides as firms grow older, we observe that it increases over time. And it increases at an average pace of 0.2%, meaning that, let's say, after 10 years, a firm born in recession is 2% larger than a firm born in expansion. Originally, we were agnostic about the effect of being born in recessions. So on the one side, there's a scarring effect. So being born in recessions implies facing harder, more difficult market conditions, and this may deteriorate firm performance. But on the other side, we might also observe a selection effect. So only high-quality firms are able to survive and are able to enter the market in bad times, so are able to enter the market in recession. And this is what we found effectively in the data. And our evidence provides support to the hypothesis of large selection effect. So the result that we have is incredibly robust to a number of changes, to a number of effects, and it provides support to the hypothesis that selection is important. So in a nutshell, what we show is that initial conditions faced at the time of birth leave a large and persistent footprint on firms' performance. Finally, as regards the implications of our analysis, the first implication has to do with the mechanism behind what we observe in the data. And what we suggest is that a selection mechanism is at work. So high-quality firms are surviving and entering the market in bad times. The importance of selection effect has relevant implication for policy. The first is the need to support business activity in the very early startup phase, because it is in this very early startup phase that initial conditions matter and that they leave a large footprint on firm performance over time. So it is important to act as soon as possible in order to support business activity. The second point suggests to intensify this business support in periods of recession, because in this period, high quality firms enter the market, so there's a high incidence of high quality firms, so the reward to this type of policies are higher.